Imagine yourself walking through an alley at night. It's cold, there's not much lighting, and you're all alone. As minutes go by, you hear footsteps. You see a shadow approaching, getting closer to you. You feel the darkness of the night closing in on you. Then suddenly hear whispers, so raspy, so cold, like nails on a chalkboard, chanting your name over and over again. As you start running, you hear the footsteps behind you getting louder and faster every step you take. Your heart is pounding so hard it feels like it's gonna jump out of your chest any minute. The adrenaline coursing through your veins gives you the strength to continue running. You run as fast as you can, but then you feel a cold, hard hand pin you to the ground, and you find yourself staring into the eyes of a killer, your killer. Webster's dictionary defines a serial killer as a person who murders more than 3 victims, one at a time in a relatively short interval. This means that in order for someone to be called a serial killer, they must follow these gruesome guidelines. Within this general definition, there are also different types of serial killers. Some examples of these are power and control, visionary, missionary, and hedonistic. Power and control serial killers experience complete sexual gratification from the domination and humiliation of the victim. This killer is a true sociopath and lives in his or her own personal set of rules and guidelines. Many of the most famous serial killers in history would fall into this type of serial killer. Some examples of this kind of serial killer are Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy. The visionary serial killer is compelled by voices or visions they experience and are considered psychotic. These voices and visions compel them to kill certain kinds of people. Two examples of this kind of serial killer are David Warwood's Son of Sam and Dennis Rader. The third type of serial killer is the missionary. This killer feels a need or duty to kill certain types of people or class of people, such as religious or racial groups or prostitutes. This type of serial killer is not considered psychotic. Some examples are Joseph Paul Franklin and Robert Hansen. The hedonistic and final type of serial killer makes a strong connection between personal violence and sexual gratification. This type of killer can also be described as a lust or thrill kind of killer. This killer receives pleasure from the act and has eroticized the experience. They generally take time to torture or mutilate their victims. A famous example of this kind of killer is H.H. Holmes. Even though there are many different types of serial killers, there are 3 main reasons why people kill. The main one is the fear of rejection. Serial killers tend to be insecure and irrationally scared of rejection. They will try to avoid developing a painful relationship with his object of desire and are terrified of being abandoned, humiliated, or exposed. Many killers often have sex, the ultimate form of intimacy, with their victims and often with the corpse. That way, the possibility of rejection is null. Another reason is the power to cause pain. They believe that causing pain, harm, and destruction are their most important objectives. They believe by the rule that one cannot kill, they are vulnerable to others that can. Killing is usually the only way they can achieve those feelings of empowerment. Even though the need of power and the insecurity of rejection are the 2 most common reasons for serial killers to murder, another reason is the need of perfection. They seek the improvement of conditions in society. They often see a category of people, such as women or prostitutes, as unclean and see the removal of those beings as improving the world. Or they think that killing the victim, usually in some sort of ritualistic manner, redeems the victim of their wrongdoings. In this case, the killer is a special being and the victim is the chosen and should be grateful. They often find the victim's ingratitude infuriating and the catalyst for their actions. Understanding the reasons why serial killers commit the actions they do is the first step in protecting ourselves from them, since we might be able to understand their logic. However, the first preventative step people can take is being aware of whom they talk to. One never knows who would cause fatal harm, so one needs to be careful of strangers one talks to. Don't give out personal information to someone you just met. Don't post it on the internet where the public can access it, like a personal blog or website, a Facebook profile, an Instagram profile, or any other place that anyone could access easily. It is also important to know your surroundings. Be aware of the people around you and the environment. If you know someone is following you or you have a hunch that someone is stalking you, go on an area with many people or go to a local security police station. Another preventative step is to lock up everything that can be locked. Make sure to lock your doors and windows at night. When you go out, make sure your vehicle's doors are locked and your windows are closed completely. Also, whenever you go out, let someone know where you are and where you're going, especially for teenagers or young children. Always let your parent, guardian, or friend, as well as a trusted adult, know where you are. Finally, have some type of protection and an escape route in your home. If someone does enter your home, make sure that you have something that can protect you and a place to hide or escape from your home. Having a heavy object like a baseball can provide good protection if someone does break in. It is hard to understand why serial killers commit the acts they do. However, being able to identify them and understand their motives help people protect themselves. We live in a world where it is never enough to be too careful when it comes to posting personal information online. Serial killers are out there, so whenever you hear loud footsteps in the middle of the night, run. Any questions?
Yeah, what was the first recorded serial killer in U.S. history?
H.H. Holmes.
Okay.
Yep.
How many people did he kill?
He killed 20, recorded, there's 27 people killed, but it's actually an estimate of 200
Wow.
in a hotel that he built for murder specific purposes. Okay. Thank you guys for your time.